to my channel. I'm so glad you can join me again today, where it's all about collecting movies and TV shows on 4K, Blu Ray, and DVD from all over the world, as you can see behind me. And today we've got another exciting review. And we're going to be going into two movie reviews again today. You all enjoyed the last one I did where I combined two different movies of two different types. So we're doing the same thing again today. Today we're going to be deep diving into Mackintosh and TJ and Getting Even with Dad. And both of these are released by MVD Visuals, Marquee Collection, and things like that. And so we've got a lot of exciting things to cover into both of these, some interesting things about each title, and then I'm also going to talk about basically what I enjoyed about the movies, what I didn't enjoy, how the remasters are on them, how they look, and then give you my review score at the end when I go through each one of these. So there's a lot of exciting information we got to go into. So we're going to start off with Mackintosh and TJ first. And this one was actually sent to me by Vertigo Entertainment, who worked on the new 4K restoration and remaster for this with MVD Visual. And I just want to say a huge shout out to them. Thanks for sending this to me. I was really excited to watch this because I remembered seeing this as a kid. And if any of you know anything about this film, kind of to touch on the film here for a minute. And this is Roy Rogers' final film that he ever did. He didn't do any more films after this, and then in 1998 he actually passed on. But Roy Rogers did this, and it's a Western. To me, it's kind of a little bit more of a modern Western. Now, obviously modern being the film came out in 1975, so it's not modern like in 1994, things like that. It was filmed in 1975, but up to that time it was considered a more modern Western. Now, it just feels more like a Western. Roy Rogers I always did enjoy, and if any of you know anything about Roy Rogers, he's the king of the cowboys, if any of you know that term. Anybody that knows anything about Western films and Roy Rogers in general will know that term. I mean, he really was the king of the cowboys. I mean, he did a great job, and he has so many films. He would write songs and sing, and TV shows he was on, and I always grew up enjoying him. My parents would always rent stuff. I'd have it on VHS or we'd watch it on TV, and so I got a healthy dose of Roy Rogers growing up. And I remembered seeing this on VHS when my parents rented it one time, and I really haven't heard anything about it since then, and it's kind of one of these things that when I found out this was coming out, I really wanted to get a hold of it. And Vertigo Entertainment actually got in touch with me and sent me a review copy to go through and tell you guys about it, because I was really curious how the 4K restoration was on this. And I want to get this out of the way right away, because a lot of times on the channel, I get a lot of questions about this. So this is a new 4K restoration and remaster on Blu Ray. So I'll touch on that here for a minute. I recently did a review of Flight of the Navigator, Disney's Flight of the Navigator, which is a brand new 4K restoration and remaster as well. A lot of people got confused on that though. They thought it was a 4K disc that you had to have a 4K player to play it on. That is not the case. That one, and I'll show you the screenshot of it up above of what the review looked like. So if you want to go check that one out and you haven't checked it out yet, that one's available on the channel as well. But that one is a Blu Ray that they did a 4K restoration and remaster on, just like this. So what that means is they basically went and did a 4K scan and restoration to restore, get rid of speckles and basically digital errors or errors in the film itself where there was tears or things like that. And so it's an overall 4K scan, but it's released on Blu-ray. So what that means is, as long as you have a regular Blu-ray player, you can buy this and watch it with the 4K scan that they did in the restoration without having to have a 4K player or a 4K TV specifically. So in that case, just like that Flight of the Navigator one, if you haven't checked out that review yet, you're going to want to check that one after you get done checking this review out, because that one you can own and buy that, and that's the only set that exists of that has that 4K restoration and remaster. You cannot watch that 4K restoration and remaster on any digital services. So that one you're going to want to pick up through that review. But this one is a 4K restoration and remaster as well. So I was curious how good this one stacked up next to that quality-wise as far as what the remaster and scan is. I will tell you right off the bat, this did look really good. The 4K restoration remaster that Vertigo Entertainment did on this with MVD Visual does look pretty darn stunning, especially because like the VHS scans and things like that were horrible. I mean, the VHS looked bad. There was tears on it. And there's an interesting special feature on this Blu-ray that actually goes into, it talks about that it was put on this Blu-ray for historical reference, but it's actually behind the scenes with Roy Rogers and Dale Evans, his wife. And if any of you know anything about Dale Evans, she's on it. Just a little bit reference in the special features on it. She talks in it as well. But that actual special feature is from the SD VHS. And it's amazing to watch that because it talks about that they couldn't upgrade it because all that existed was that VHS. So it is in the original quality. When you see that in what we used to watch on VHS, holy cow, you realize how much this 4K restoration really had done to it. So it's an interesting thing if you really want to see how much change there is with this 4K restoration. Go into the special features on this disc and watch the original on-set footage behind the scenes special feature that's on this before you watch the movie. And when you watch it, it actually has a bunch of scenes from the film that you're going to see in this movie. And man, you watch that and then you start this movie, it's like so eye-opening, and I'm talking even more so than a regular Blu-ray. The 4K restoration they did on this was great. I really applaud what they did with this Vertigo Entertainment because it makes the film bring it to new life. And I had already enjoyed the film when I saw it back on VHS growing up, but to give you a little idea about the film, it's basically Mackintosh is driving along the road looking for jobs at ranches. He was a ranch hand and he's looking for jobs. He comes to a town, finds this boy is getting out of jail for supposedly stealing something, and he basically helps the boy out, and the boy ends up coming along with him. He gives him a ride, and it's how their lives intertwine. Is they're going along, he's looking for a ranch to work on. The boy basically doesn't have parents, and he kind of fills in. Roy Rogers kind of becomes his dad in a sense, which is such a beautiful story in and of itself. The boy has been hurt over his life, and it's a story of kind of moving on in life, forgiving others, and it's just a beautiful example of Roy Rogers explaining to the boy the things he's learned over life. And there's a scene in it that I absolutely love when they're driving down the road trying to look for a job, basically, and Roy Rogers' truck breaks down that they're driving in looking for a ranch. And the boy gets out and basically says, I'm going to hitch a ride with somebody else, and I need to get to where I'm going fast. He's trying to get across to the ocean. He's never seen it. And Roy Rogers basically explains, and I'm going to butcher this, but basically explains that, you know, the boy says, why don't you drive faster, you know, to get to where you're going faster? And Roy Rogers has this line that basically, hey, you know, everybody that's speeding up to go through life fast, they all have to wait eventually, and then we catch up eventually, and they just have to sit there waiting. And I just butchered it, I'm sure, but it's a beautiful allegory to life in general that a lot of the times you think about it. I mean, even when you're driving in traffic, you speed up, and maybe you pass somebody, but then you get to a red light, and you look behind you, the guy you passed is right behind you. Did it help you any speeding up to get through life? Not really. I mean, and that's kind of the way that the movie is. It's teaching life lessons in a beautiful way. The writing in it I thought was great. The story itself has some surprises. It kind of becomes a mystery later on through it, which really surprised me. And then you're really wondering what's going to happen. And there is some light violence in it. And I'll give you an idea. So the movie runs about 96 minutes long. So it's not a real long movie, but there is some fighting in it. It is rated PG. It's not PG-13, and it's nothing too extreme. It's just, you know, for a Western, there's, you know, he has some shooting. There's not real gunfights, but it's him hunting down some animals and things like that when he's working on a ranch. There is some, like, fist fights, you know, and it's not, you know, violent like he's going out to fight people all the time, but there's things that happen that, you know, he gets punched or things like that. So it's an overall just a really good, enjoyable film. And you ever watched a Western that you enjoy the character and the writing so much that when the film ends, you're sitting there wanting it to have continued to see more of what happens with them. And that's one of these films. That is exactly what Mackintosh and T.J. is. It really is just one of those films. You sit back, you enjoy the ride, and if you've ever seen Westerns, this is a good Western film. And it's one you're going to want to have in your collection, especially if you're a Roy Rogers fan or you're just a fan of Western films in general. Now, talking about the set and the quality and things like that in it here. Now, the film came out in 1975, so it needed a lot of restoration. They do talk about that in a bunch of the special features in this, but there was a lot of heavy damage in the VHSs and all the quality that existed out there. So they did do a lot of work on this. Now, the only downside I will say that I realized watching it, that you're going to realize going through it, is the audio quality. The audio on it is English 2.0 stereo LPCM. Now, on that, I did have to turn up the audio on my surround sound quite a bit. That's about the only negative side of this Blu-ray that I would say. They only had so much to work with it and budget-wise, and that's where I feel like they didn't have a ton of money to go in and basically do a whole new sound mix, a 5.1 mix, try to create a whole new sound and audio mix. So it is the English 2.0 stereo LPCM. It sounds good. It's not that you can't hear it, but you will have to turn up your sound system quite a bit more. So that was the negative side of it. They did spend, it seems like, their budget to do the 4K restoration remaster on the visual quality. And they did a great job with that. I mean, it's gorgeous. But The audio, I will tell you right off the bat, when you start it, there's nothing wrong with your audio that it does start off low, and the audio, like when they're talking, you will have to turn it up so that you can hear it better. Once you do turn it up, it's fine, it's clear, you can hear it just fine. It's not going to be a 5.1 mix, so that is why I said you will have to turn up the audio. But other than that, it did sound fine. There wasn't any issues with it, no speckles in the sound that needed taken out. It sounded clear and crisp. You just will have to turn it up. So on the cover here, it does talk about the new 4K restoration and remaster. Obviously, it is Roy Rogers. And a lot of you might recognize the boy. He was actually in a bunch of Disney movies. Like if you remember the Apple Dumpling Gang by Disney and the Apple Dumpling Gang Rides Again, that's the same actor. And he actually became a pro rodeo Hall of Famer, the boy was. So he's actually pretty known if you've ever seen him. I always liked him as a kid because I grew up and I really liked the Apple Dumpling Gang and the Apple Dumpling Gang Rides Again. I watched those growing up and loved those films. And so I really liked him in this because it kind of reminded me of a continuation of that. He plays a very similar character in that. So I did enjoy him in this. Now, on the side here, it obviously says Mackintosh and T.J, MVD visual, Blu Ray disc, and then on the back it talks about newly restored from the original film elements. So they didn't restore this from the VHS. Like I said, they went back to the original film elements, and it's a huge upgrade over those VHSs. Now, it does talk about special features you get on this. You get the Lone Pine Cast reunion, you get interview with Billy Green Bush, theatrical trailers, the original theatrical trailer, as well as a couple others that you might want to pick up that are by MVD visual as well. Then it does talk about the audio commentary, which runs throughout the movie if you want to include the audio commentary and play it. And then the original on-set footage behind the scenes, that's the one I told you to watch before you start the film, because you'll really realize how much work they did to actually upgrade this to the 4K restoration. And to me, that makes it exciting once you see that and then you watch the movie. And you don't have to watch the whole behind the scenes before you watch the movie. Just watch a few minutes to see just how much of an upgrade this is. Then it goes into on here, it is in the original 1.78.1, and it does have English subtitles. Those are the only subtitles. So on audio, it's only the English audio, and subtitles is only English subtitles, but it does have the English subtitles, which a lot of you always ask about, so that is really nice that they included that in this as well. Now, I'm going to get this out of the bat right away before we go into this disc. It does say on here, Region A locked. But I got an exciting thing to share with you. As all of you know, on every review I test every single one of these, this disc is region free. So, Mackintosh and TJ, you can buy this, import this anywhere in the world. This is a region free disc. So that is a great thing for those of you that watch the channel that live in Europe or Japan or Germany, doesn't matter where you live, Australia, this is a region free disc. So that means you buy this, you import this, it'll play in any Blu-ray player. Obviously in the US it's going to play because, I mean, it was originally listed as region locked at region A, but it is region free, so you can watch this anywhere. I will put the link, as always, in the description section right below this video. So, as always, I will have the Amazon link listed right below us. So you open the description section right below, you click that Amazon link, it'll take you right out there to buy this. So you don't have to go searching for it. It is listed right in the description section. It makes it nice and easy for you. And it is region free. So those of you outside the country, you go down to that Amazon link, you click on that link, and you can import it right from there. Amazon will ship it right to you. So those of you that want to import that, just make sure you go down to that link in the description section below. That's for this exact region free copy. So before we go into the inside of this disc, I do have something I'm going to cover real quick with all of you. So make sure you stick around. We got a lot of exciting things to cover about these sets here. Make sure to give this video a like for me. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Click that subscribe button and the bell notification right next to it. That way you don't miss out on any of this exclusive content only on my YouTube channel. And clicking that bell notification, if you're subscribed, make sure to click that bell notification so that way it notifies you as I release these new videos. And I will always have all of the links for everything I talk about, just like I was saying, in the description section right below this video. You click that description section, they're listed out right there. You click that link, makes it nice and easy for you to go out there to Amazon and buy any of this stuff. And you can always follow me on either my Instagram or my Facebook, which is just the name of the channel, In Search of Physical Media. And I post extra hidden content, little reviews, things I get in during the week, stuff that I don't always get to post here as a video. I always post little hidden reviews of extra things that I buy and get in. So make sure you follow me on one of those, and always check the community section once you're subscribed to this channel. For all my subscribers, you can check that community section on the YouTube channel here. And I post extra hidden things, deals that come out, if Amazon's running sales or other deals I find along the way. I always post that in the community section right here on this YouTube channel as well. So make sure you check that as well. I always try to give extra things about collecting physical media, because as you all know, I get so excited about all the stuff to collect. Alright, we've got a lot to cover in both of these reviews, so let's dive right back into these now. So coming back into Mackintosh and TJ, when you open it up here, it's in a nice case. They did not use those eco cases, as I don't like those eco cases. This is in a regular case that protects the disc, so I did like that. And it comes with a nice printed disc. Here it says Mackintosh and TJ, has Roy Rogers on it, MVD visual, the rating of PG, and then it says by Vertigo Entertainment. So the disc was really nice. It's not a print-on-demand disc. These are actually manufactured discs, so that's really nice. I was always curious because I've never gotten things from MVD Visual before, so I was curious if these are like print-on-demand discs. They're not. They're actual manufactured discs, and they're really nice. The display on this, as I've been showing you up above, screenshots of actually what the quality of this looks like, it looked great. The 4K restoration they did on it, I can't recommend enough. I do wish, like I had said, they would have spent some time doing maybe a new audio mix, but I do understand with the budget on these, because these are boutique label Blu-rays, and that's something I've talked about a lot recently. I try to support a lot of these boutique label releases, and I think this one deserves our support. I'll get into my review score here in a minute, but I want to talk about boutique labels here. I've been doing a lot more of these boutique labels that I've been buying or getting in for a review, and the reason why is they're of movies that are great classics or things we should own, watch, and support, but that really just either people didn't know about and have fallen off the radar. And there are so many movies coming out in TV shows, but a lot of them are these big blockbuster special effects, and they're fine and dandy on their own, but I think we've all lost the idea of what a great film is. And that's where I feel like Mackintosh and TJ, it really was a great film. It's something that just has so much to teach us that when you get done with the film, you really say, hey, this was worth my time. This was something that I felt improved my life in general. It taught me something that I felt like, hey, that was a great film and I really enjoyed it. And I felt great when I left that film. I didn't feel like it was filthy and had a bunch of language or violence or a bunch of stuff that maybe you disagree with me, but in general just didn't feel like you wasted your time on something that didn't have good writing even. And this had great writing and it was a great Western that I do recommend. And that's why my review score for this being region free, for the price range of it, I mean, you're looking at about 17 bucks on sale is what it costs. And most of the time it's going to have free shipping on Amazon anyways, and it's been running about 17 bucks. I've seen it on sale for about 14, but most of the time it's around 17. And for the 4K restoration and remaster with free shipping, that's a great deal, especially because it is a boutique label release. So my review score for this comes out at an 8.7. And that basically takes into account the 4K restoration they did for this. I like the movie as well, but the 4K restoration was good. It did lose a couple of points, as I said, because the audio didn't have a full audio restoration on it. I would have loved to have seen like a DTS HD master audio or a full Dolby Digital 5.1, but I do understand with these boutique labels, sometimes they have to choose where to put their money. And they did it with the 4K restoration, the visual on it, restoring it, repairing it. And I appreciate that because it did look phenomenal. I mean, it just looks great. And if you've been watching those screenshots up above that I've been showing you of the show, it looks great. And I hope MVD Visual and Vertigo Entertainment, when you're watching this, continue with these 4K restorations. I hope that enough people support this that you can continue to do more of these, because I think you're on the right track here. I think you did a great job with this 4K restoration and remaster. For their first 4K restoration, I mean, thumbs up. I think they did a great job. 8.7 is a great review score for this, and I highly recommend picking it up. If you like Westerns or you just like good stories, just showing life moving on, and there's so many lines in this that weren't cheesy, that just were just spot on for what life is. So if you just want a good, wholesome family film that, I mean, it's rated PG, Roy Rogers' final film, you're going to want to add this to your collection because I do think it's worth adding to your collection. There's so many hidden actors on it that are known for other movies that did a great job in it as well, that has small roles in it. And it does have kind of a mystery to it. Some things that kind of surprise you. I mean, as you're going along, I don't want to give things away, but it kind of starts off slower moving, like, you know, about life and finding a job and things like that. And then it kind of changes and things like, whoa, like what happened here? And kind of Western mystery a little bit. So I enjoy that sense of it, and it was good. So I recommend the film. 8.7, I suggest picking it up. Let me know in the comment section below if you're planning on picking this up, if you've seen this film or if you remember it. Because a lot of the time, a lot of these films, they kind of go off the radar over the years. And I'm glad to start getting them again and get companies like this, like Vertigo Entertainment and MVD Visual, to release stuff like this. Because I think they're great things that we need to support so that boutique labels can keep releasing great restorations and remasters of a lot of these great films that we've all kind of forgotten about. So I suggest picking this up. Let me know if you're going to. Down in the description section below, I put the link. Let's get to the next review here. All right, next one is Getting Even with Debt, and this is Macaulay Culkin's one of his last films he did, in my opinion, of when he was in that younger age. He did this one, he did The Pagemaster, and then he did what I consider to be his final, like, swan song. His ones he did when he was older, I never really appreciated. So I consider that his last swan song was Richie Rich. And this was done around the same time as Richie Rich and The Pagemaster, Getting Even with Dad. And I enjoyed Macaulay Culkin. I mean, I really did as a kid. He did a lot of films that I just liked. And as he grew up, I really didn't like his films he did when he was older. But I did really enjoy him. His last one that I really enjoyed was Richie Rich. And I was curious to get this. And this one is also released by MVD Visual Entertainment. So the same company that released Mackintosh and T.J. released this. Now, they did not send me this one for review. I actually went out and bought this myself. And I'm hoping that as time goes on, MVD Visual and Vertigo Entertainment will send me more of these for review, because I really do like these boutique labels and what they're doing with a lot of these, like I said, releases that really need to be put on Blu-ray, because all that exists is either VHSs or DVDs that are not in great quality. So I was really curious to get this one, so I bought this to go along with the Mackintosh and TJ so we could do 2 reviews together. And Ted Danson, I really liked it. He's kind of in a lighthearted comedic role in this, and I always thought Ted Danson did a great job in this. But I will warn you, this is the era of mullets. So this was released in 1994, and I don't know why that was a popular thing back then. I mean, I grew up through that era, and I remember it. But anyhow, there's lots of mullets in this. So Macaulay Culkin has kind of the long hair, Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible 2 hairstyle going on. And then Ted Danson's got the full-on mullet, long mullet that he puts in a ponytail. So I'll warn you about that. It does have the mullet era, but it adds to the nostalgia of it. I always, like I said, liked Macaulay Culkin. I thought he was a very believable and good actor as a kid. I mean, he had charm to him, and I loved him in Home Alone, one of my favorite all-time movies from growing up. And this is one of them. I won't say it's Home Alone good, but it's still pretty darn good. And so I watched it again, kind of not remembering everything that happened in it, and it has a lot of things that remind me of later on. A couple years later, he did Richie Rich. And there's some scenes in this that I kind of feel Richie Rich tore from this. Like, there's several scenes at the theme parks when he forces his dad to take him to the theme parks, that if you watch Richie Rich, which is not on Blu-ray, and if anybody's listening to me, somebody needs to put that on Blu-ray. I mean, come on, Richie Rich, that should have been on Blu-ray years ago. It was successful in theaters, and it's a pretty darn, entertaining Macaulay Culkin film as well. But I was glad to get this one, and there's a lot of scenes in it that kind of remind me of Richie Rich. But Macaulay Culkin plays a kid that his dad hasn't seen in years because he's been in prison. And Ted Danson plays this guy that's kind of a deadbeat, that basically he wants to rob people to get ahead in life because he feels like he can't do it on his own. But he's a great cake decorator. He just wants to get something done easy. He doesn't want to work for it. So anyhow, Macaulay Culkin gets dropped off at his dad's house. He hasn't seen him in years because he just got out of prison for basically some petty crime he did, stealing something. So Macaulay Culkin gets dropped off and basically spending the week with his dad. His dad has a whole basically robbery he had planned. So he goes through and robs, and it's about how Macaulay Culkin finds out about it and basically doesn't want his dad to go to prison again. So Macaulay Culkin steals basically the coins that Ted Danson and these 2 other guys robbed and hides them, and basically blackmails his dad into, hey, you got to spend a week doing what I want, and then I'll give you those coins back. And during the whole time, it's such a great premise of he teaches his dad things, his dad teaches him things, and it's one of those feel-good, lighthearted comedies. There's not really anything bad in it. It's another movie that's rated PG, just like the Mackintosh and TJ was. So there's not really anything bad in it. There is some, like, a little bit of cussing in it. I think somebody gets punched once, but most of the time it's this lighthearted, like, slapstick, like, hey, somebody gets hit in the head or somebody gets sick on a roller coaster, and it's done well, and it's very entertaining. And if you like Macaulay Culkin's films or Ted Danson, it is one of those just 1994 lighthearted, just good family films. So if you like those types of films, it is a good family comedy, and I did enjoy it. Now, it is one of those films that has a good center to the movie where you don't feel like at the end, man, that was just kind of lighthearted but had no soul to it. This movie has a soul, that at the end, you just feel like both characters advanced and really did change, and they learned something. And Ted Danson's character by the end, you really do like. Even though at the beginning, he's kind of rough, and I mean, he really doesn't like his kid, and he doesn't treat him well. And you feel for Macaulay Culkin because he's been passed on and on. After his mom died, his dad basically went to prison and didn't want anything to do with him. And you do feel for him. And I feel like Macaulay Culkin does a good job with those roles. That by the end of the movie, it's just like kind of Home Alone. You feel for the kid. I mean, maybe at the beginning he was kind of a jerk. But by the end, you realize that you kind of understand what he went through. And if, one of my kids went through that, I'd feel for him too. And Ted Danson kind of learns from it. And I appreciate that. So definitely recommend the movie if you haven't seen it. It's an enjoyable film that if you just want to sit down, it's an enjoyable time. You'll enjoy that. Now, it obviously has on the side here the title, MVD Visual Entertainment, Marquee Collection listed on it, MGM. Then on the back here, it talks about first time on Blu-ray. It is presented in widescreen, the 1.85.1, the original aspect ratio. It's 109 minutes long, so it's not a real long movie either. It keeps things moving. It does have audio-wise several different audio options. Now on the back, it didn't list them all off. You do get English Dolby Digital 2.0 LPCM, Spanish 2.0 Digital Dolby Digital, French 2.0 Dolby Digital, then subtitles. You get your English subtitles, your French subtitles, and your Spanish subtitles. Now here's the only thing about this set that I will point out. This set is Region A locked. So those of you that want to port this from another country, in the UK there was one released by Fabulous Films of this movie. I don't own that one. I did get this one in the US. That one is region locked for your country. And I'll put both titles down in the description section below so that if you live in the UK and you want to get that one because it is region locked to that country, I will put that down there. But this one is Region A locked. So this one from MVD Visual and Marquee Collection is Region A locked. So those of you that would live in Region A, so the US, Canada, Mexico, things like that, you're going to be looking at getting this set, and that's the one I'll put in the description section below as well. So this one is the one that I recommend. This is the one I'm reviewing. Now, inside here, I know I kind of skipped over this, but it comes in a regular case. It does have Getting Even with Dad printed on it. It does have MVD Marquee Collection printed on it, and at first I did think this was a print on demand. It's not. So it is a regular printed Blu-ray disc. So there's nothing, it's not print on demand. These are manufactured, so that's really nice. It's just like the other MVD release that I showed you with Mackintosh and TJ. It looks nice. They don't put any extra things with cover art on the backside, but they do come in nice cases, which I do like. They're not those ones that are real flimsy. It's a nice case on it. As far as the basically 1080p HD scan on it, it does look good, though they did not do a full restoration on this movie. So it does contain some specs throughout it. There's not any tears that I saw on it. It did look pretty good there, and the 1080p HD scan does look good, but it does have some black specks, and there are some color variances in some scenes where you can tell the scan they did off of the film elements had some varies between some of the film elements. It's not serious on it. It's not horrible. It's not something that you're going to be sitting there and saying, oh, this is horrible. It does look pretty good. And I've done some of these recently that I've done of like, I did a 4-film review a couple weeks back that had The Legend of Bagger Vance and Rat Race and a couple other movies on it as well. And if you want to check that one out, that's on the channel as well. It's very similar to that. It looks good. It looks decent. The scan's good. But they didn't do a full restoration to make sure there was no specs or anything like that. And for this film, I don't know that it needed a full restoration. I mean, price-wise for this, you're looking at around $15 is the average for it. Sometimes I've seen around $13. Amazon's had it on average right around there. Sales have been around $13 to $15, free shipping. So, I mean, it doesn't cost very much because it's not a full restoration like what you saw on Mackintosh and TJ. That one cost a little bit more. You know, that one cost anywhere between $3 to $4 more, and I can see it. I'll pay the extra money for that because it did have a full 4K restoration. This one, though, is just the 1080p scan. I don't know that this one needed it. It's just a good film. It does look drastically better than any of the DVDs or any of the, you know, VHSs that existed before. So it does look definitely worth it, and it's worth the upgrade to the Blu-ray for it because for that sense, it does look drastically better in HD. So that's where I said it didn't really need the restoration. The few specs you're going to see every once in a while don't really ruin the film because there's no tears in it or anything like that that I saw. Now, coming back here to the back again, it does have special features. It has the making of featurette, music montage, original theatrical trailers, home video teaser trailer, which is the VHS teaser trailer, which is great. I love watching that for nostalgia factors. But if you want to see that, it kind of shows the quality of VHS back then, which is another thing if you want to watch that before you watch this. It kind of gives you that sense of how much the 1080p scan really does upgrade this film. And it did sound good. The music in this is great. If you like 1994's music and things like that, it had 80s music, it had Elvis music, and I thought they did a great job with it, and it's an enjoyable flick. So for Getting Even with Dad, my review score for this is going to be an 8.3. It's a good film. I suggest picking it up. It's just not going to be up there with the Mackintosh and TJ with the 4K scan. So that's why I didn't get like an 8.7 because I really felt like the 4K scan that Mackintosh and TJ got really gave it those extra points, which is why we're looking at that 8.7 for the Mackintosh and TJ versus the 8.3 for this. But I still recommend picking this up for the price, especially if you just like Macaulay Culkin, Ted Danson, you just like lighthearted, good comedy, family comedies that don't have anything really bad in them. It's a good sit down, it's a good watch. And for that, that's why I said it got an 8.3, just because price-wise and everything, it's worth picking up. This is the Region A-Lock from MVD Visual, and I suggest picking up both films if you just want to add them to your collection, especially like I said, these are boutique labels. And again, for about 14-15 bucks with free shipping, I suggest buy this with Mackintosh and TJ. Sit down, have yourself a nice lighthearted night. You got a comedy here, and then you got a Western, you know, Mackintosh and TJ with a little bit of mystery. You don't got anything to worry about. Sit the family down and have a fun night. I recommend picking both these up. Let me know if you knew about either of these being released in the comment section below. I always love to hear from all of you, so make sure to start the conversation down there in the comment section below. But I'll make sure to put both of these with the links from Amazon listed in the description section below. That way, if you decide to pick either of these up or both of them, and have yourself an enjoyable movie night. If you haven't seen these, make sure you come back and let me know in the comment section what you thought about them, if you enjoyed them, what you liked about each one individually, because I always love to hear what other collectors or movie fans like about each film, because I know each of us have slightly different opinions about things. My opinion on some films might vary slightly than yours. Like I did with the last movie reviews when I did the 4 movie reviews on the channel. I thought some of the movies I liked better than some of the others. You know, some of you liked the Stepford Wives on that one better than I did, and I always love to hear from you. I mean, I didn't think the Stepford Wives was nearly as good as like The Legend of Bagger Vance. I really like The Legend of Bagger Vance. So that's where collecting movies is always an interesting thing to hear what somebody else thinks about it. And I hope you guys enjoy my recommendations. I know a lot of you tell me below that, hey, I love that film, thanks, keep the recommendations coming. So I always try to come up with new and exciting things on the channel. And I hope these are something that you really didn't know about that maybe now you're gonna pick up, because I think they did a good job with these. So let me know if you're excited to pick up either of these. As always, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. I always try to bring you new content and something exciting. I enjoy doing this, and I hope to get more of these from MVD Visual and get some more MVD marquee titles to review here. So MVD, if you're watching this, send me some more of these so we can go through. I'll do more of these reviews. Maybe there's some more titles a lot of you are excited about. I always love to hear from these boutique labels and get more of these out. So that way there's something new that maybe you didn't know about these coming out, because there's so many big titles coming out from these big companies, but some of these smaller companies kind of get overlooked sometimes, and these titles should be supported because they're good and enjoyable films that I think need to be put in HD, and we need to keep them so that way we don't lose them out there and they get lost. So as always, make sure to give me a thumbs up, click that subscribe button and the bell notification. That way you can check the community section for some extra content on there. Once you're subscribed, always make sure to check that. Follow me on my Instagram or my Facebook, just the name of the channel. I had a great time today. I hope all of you have a blessed day, and I look forward to the time we get to do this again real soon.